I think I run through this scenario way more than any usual person should, but if I was starting from completely zero, starting again with a brand new channel, there's a very specific kind of approach I would take to make sure that I set myself up to grow fast. Because something I notice is beginners, when they envision starting with zero, they think that they kind of have to go into it blind. But I don't think that's the way you should do it. I would focus on these two main areas to put myself in a position to win. First is the initial plan and setup. This covers your immediate strategy for starting a channel from zero, including defining your audience, planning content, focusing on idea quality, and establishing a posting schedule. The second thing is to course correct and optimize. This is analyzing performance to iterate and double down on what works, refining your approach and building a cohesive, authentic channel experience over time. So the first thing I would do is come up with a really clear plan. I would figure out exactly who I'm creating content for, and I would be extremely specific. Take a pen and paper and write down exactly the type of person, the ideal client avatar that you want to be watching your videos. Go further than a basic demographic sheet where it's age or region or something like that, and figure out exactly the type of problem you want to solve for that person. Once we've figured out our exact ideal client and the problem we're going to be solving for them, we need to think about how we're getting that content seen. And because this is in 2025 or 2026, we can't use the same playbook that was used back then in 2017 when this is what a lot of people were recommending, where everything was kind of geared around getting the click. You want to create a thumbnail and title that gets people to click on your video no matter what. And that's where that whole kind of clickbaity thing came from, where you've got these crazy over-the-top, loud, shouting in your face thumbnails. And unfortunately, or fortunately, YouTube doesn't work that anymore. YouTube's new way of figuring out what to show to people goes much deeper. YouTube focuses on a behavior. So what happens after that click? How much are people actually engaging with that content? How long are they watching it for? Are they watching the first 30 seconds? Are they watching the first 50%? Or are they watching the entire video right until the end? Are they liking, commenting, sharing? Are they subscribing? Once people have watched your video for however long they chose to watch it for, what are they doing afterwards? Are they staying on YouTube or are they leaving? One of YouTube's biggest metrics right now is seeing how long people actually stay on the platform. Even if they've left your piece of content or watching a different piece of your channel, a different video, they're seeing how long they stay. YouTube as a business wants people to stay on there as long as they can. So they're measuring that. And if you're creating value or leaving people where they feel like they want to get more, they're gonna stay on the platform for longer, which means YouTube's gonna see that your video actually is valuable and they're gonna show it to more people. So beyond the click, we need to show that value so that YouTube can get that accurate representation of if people are interested in our video or not, seeing how much they watch and stick around to watch more YouTube or more of your content ideally. You need to respect the viewer's time. If you're making a video about editing, for example, don't create something for retention where you vlog your entire day for the first 70% of the video and you give them those editing tips at the end. Get straight to the point and show them exactly what you're telling them you're going to. Respect their time by saying, here's an editing video, and go straight into showing them how they can edit better videos or your 5-step process to how you edit. You should give the viewer real advice straight away instead of thinking you need to have this big build up or intro with all these crazy hooks and different retention hacks and holding information till later. Give all of that value up front and the viewer immediately feels like you've respected their time more, make them more willing to stick around for a larger portion of that piece of content. Something I like to focus on when I'm building out my content is I wanted to offer the viewer that's watching the opportunity to watch more of what they like. So if they've spent a large portion of time watching 50% or the entire part of your video, you should have another video that's ready to be served to them that's more of the same thing. You don't want to separate and segregate your different videos into being such vastly different topics that one might cater to a certain person where they watch the entire thing, but then there's no other video that really continues that. There's nothing more that they could watch once they've watched that one, and they might just leave and go watch someone else's videos or leave YouTube altogether. So one piece of content should feed into the next, and each video should be able to flow. When YouTube recommends new different videos in that little sidebar, your viewer should go, this one I just watched was actually really enjoyable. Oh, let me watch that one as well. It seems like I'm gonna get more of that same thing that I actually like. If you're just starting out, one of the things that you should really focus on learning early on is that you can make certain tasks easier by outsourcing different things like Artlist's AI video generation that lets you create the most insane different videos of everything you can think of. They're implementing so many different AI engines into their website that you can create all sorts of different AI right now. The biggest and one of the craziest ones that I've seen lately is the new Sora 2. You've probably seen it going around, where you can create these hyper-realistic videos and you can take different people and characters and put it into it, and it can create any scene that you want out of those characters.
That's a potato.
And it's pretty like mind-blowing what it can do. You can check out Artlist right now if you want to experiment with Sora 2 or some of their other crazy AI engines that you can build out content. You can literally create whatever your mind can see, and it's all within Artlist and part of your plan if you're on an Artlist plan. So I would highly recommend checking it out. A big part of the way that you can create content that is more enjoyable and leaves people feeling like they actually want more is by putting your unique angle and perspective onto it. Most ideas and topics are covered by other people already in mostly really good ways, where that valuable information has been presented in a very effective way for most people. And the way that you can create more of a connection and make those videos more enjoyable for the viewers to actually watch is by just tweaking it to be your own unique perspective and seeing those same ideas through your own unique glasses so that you can share it from a true to yourself and authentic perspective. Viewers resonate with that, and you might even identify with certain people that are more inclined to your specific unique angle of perspective within that scenario, making them connect and feel even more seen by you when you're presenting the problems that you're going to solve. So spin things, even if they're the same ideas, into a way that is unique to you, and use your unique situation and life and experience to put a unique spin on those already spoken about ideas. It sounds kind of simple, but this really goes a long way. That's how people resonate with you, and that's how they feel like they've got a real connection with you as a person and as a creator, rather than just another random face on YouTube in the crowd. Once I've got that pretty clear idea of the value that I'm bringing, as well as the exact audience that I'm catering towards, I wouldn't try and build up a massive stockpile of content before I start posting. What I see far too many creators doing is trying to get this big bank of content before they commit to actually start posting anything. And it's good to be prepared in a way like that, but I also think it is so much more important to start posting immediately, because one of the biggest things that you're going to notice happens is that you're constantly readjusting, reiterating, and changing certain things. And the biggest growth actually happens between the time when you finish one piece of content, post it, share it to the world, and start within that new piece of content. So if you're only hoarding all of your content before actually posting it, you're not giving yourself room to get any feedback or to be able to see what's working or what's not, and to realign with what is going to work. One of the most important things that you need to focus on is creating a piece of content, sharing it with the world, taking all of that data back from that new data set, from seeing what people were commenting, which pieces of content did well, which ones didn't, and then reiterating and re-steering so that you can align with what actually works. You can't steer a car that isn't moving, and by not posting your content, you're kind of just waiting in that car, planning out your whole drive before setting off. The other part to this is that it's extremely important to take all of that new data and analyze it, to figure out what's working, to re-steer and go away from things that aren't working and double down on things that are. One of the biggest transformations to my content creator journey was I created a video called something like 7 creative gimbal shots. It did extremely well. It was one of my first videos to surpass 1 million views, and I capitalized on that, making more than 10 more of the same videos with slight variations and different shots. All of them continued on to be some of my best performing videos, with multiple of them going well over 1 million views, and that's largely responsible for what grew a big portion of my audience. So when you can start posting things instead of holding on to them, and then see what performs really well out of those things that you're posting, when one does click, you should double down on that and recreate or reiterate, even if it's just the same format or concept done with new, fresh perspectives and ideas. You don't need to find new oil every single video. If you're drilling right here and you find oil, don't move your rig and go set up a new hole to find oil over there. You found oil, you struck gold, double down and drill even deeper right there. One of the most important things, and something I see far too many creators getting wrong, is that they think once they start uploading consistently and putting in all of this effort, that their views are going to be this linear growth pattern where the more content you post, the more growth you're going to kind of get. And I think to shift your expectations is so important, because if you realize that realistically, even if you're putting all of this effort into content, you're posting a video every single week, maybe it's 2 videos a week, it isn't going to be this consistent growth shape that happens where you just continue to get more views on every video and you slowly build up that audience. Unfortunately, the reality is that even if you're posting all of these different pieces of content that you're putting everything you've got into, sometimes things just don't really grow the way that you thought they would. And if you shift your expectation to be posting consistently for years instead of putting everything in for maybe a month of posting all of this content, and then at the end of the month you're like, well, I only have like a couple hundred more subscribers, my videos are still kind of getting the same views, that's incredibly disheartening. So shifting it to realize that it's a really long game to actually build something meaningful and to garner an audience that is actually connected and cares about you and trusts you takes a very long time. And when you can shift that perspective and you start to zoom out to a much more macro view over a long period of time, your channel will be growing. But when you're looking at each individual video, this one performed worse than the one before, and the videos are getting less views than they even did in the beginning. What's going on? It's not working. Don't stress, that's part of the journey. And before you know it, you arrive at a place where everything kind of starts to just happen at once, and you'll just kind of get picked up and your videos will start getting more views, and that's when it just starts to happen. So if you've been uploading for a year or however long and you just don't feel like you have traction, that's normal. I think you just need to keep going, keep reiterating and keep tweaking your content, sharing your authentic experience, and over time, your channel will be growing and you will be building that audience, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. That's gonna be it for this one. I hope some of these things were useful. This is the approach I would take if I was starting from scratch. I don't know what my unhealthy obsession is about thinking about it, but that's what I would do. Remember to check out Artlist if you want to create the most insane AI generated videos, and good luck with growing your channel out there. I'll see you in the next one.